Have you ever discovered something so devastating that it felt like the world just stopped spinning? I have. It was a Tuesday, just after midnight, and the only light in our bedroom was the cold blue glow from my wife Sarah's phone screen. She thought I was asleep. I saw her thumb swipe across the glass, deleting a text message. A single notification bubble remained on the screen. It was from a man named Mark, and it just said, "Can't wait for our next trip, my love." My heart stopped. I knew right then, in the suffocating silence of our Chicago apartment, that my life was a lie. I had to know everything, even if it destroyed me. If you genuinely enjoy our stories, please subscribe to the channel. Tell us where you're from, what time it is right now. It's always fascinating to know how far our story flows. For months, something had felt off. Sarah, my wife of 10 years, had become distant. The woman I married, the one who used to laugh at my stupid jokes and hold my hand on the couch, was gone. In her place was a stranger who was always working late or going on business trips to Miami. She'd come home smelling of a perfume I didn't recognize and would quickly jump in the shower. She'd get angry if I asked simple questions about her day, accusing me of being controlling. She'd hold her phone like it was a lifeline, angling the screen away from me. The little things piled up: credit card charges for dinners I wasn't at, receipts from hotels on Michigan Avenue when she was supposed to be at a conference downtown. I felt a knot of dread tighten in my stomach, a constant dull ache that never went away. The first time I brought it up, she turned it all on me. Her eyes went cold, and she said, "Are you seriously accusing me of cheating? After everything I do for us? Maybe if you weren't so insecure, you'd trust me." It was masterful manipulation. She made me feel small, guilty, and foolish. I apologized, desperate to believe I was wrong. For a while I tried. I told myself I was just being paranoid. But the late nights continued, and so did the secret phone calls she'd take out on our balcony. Her voice a low murmur against the city sounds. I was living in a state of constant anxiety, walking on eggshells in my own home. I felt like I was losing my mind. The breaking point came a few weeks later. She had another business trip, this time to Dallas. She kissed me goodbye at the door, a quick sterile peck on the cheek, and told me she'd call when she landed. That night I couldn't sleep. The doubt was eating me alive. Around 2 a.m., I went into her home office. I don't know what I was looking for, but my eyes landed on her laptop, which she'd left open. Her personal email was still logged in. My hands were shaking, but I clicked, and there it was. A confirmation email for a flight to Miami, not Dallas, booked for 2 people. Sarah and a Mark Jennings. There were hotel reservations at a luxury resort in South Beach, restaurant bookings, even tickets for a concert. My entire world collapsed in on itself. I sat there in the dark, staring at the screen, and I just broke. The betrayal was a physical pain, a crushing weight on my chest that made it hard to breathe. I wasn't just heartbroken, I was humiliated. The woman I had built my life with was living a double life, laughing at me behind my back. That night, something inside me shifted. The grief turned into a cold, hard rage. I wasn't going to just confront her. No, that would be too easy. She and this Mark deserved to feel the same humiliation she had put me through. So I started planning. I became a detective in my own life. I installed a keylogger on her laptop. I bought a tiny audio recorder and left it in her car. Every secret text, every whispered phone call, every lie she told me, I documented it all. The keylogger revealed their entire online life. They had a shared photo album filled with pictures from their trips, them on a beach in Miami, them kissing in a hotel room, them celebrating his birthday. They called each other soulmates. They mocked me in their messages, calling me a boring, predictable fool who paid for their lifestyle. The rage burned hotter. I hired a private investigator who followed them. He gave me a thick manila envelope filled with high-resolution photos of Sarah and Mark holding hands walking down Lincoln Road in Miami, kissing over dinner at Joe's Stone Crab, entering the Delano Hotel together. The evidence was irrefutable and damning. Then came the final piece of my plan. For the past year, Sarah had been telling me she desperately wanted a baby. It was all she talked about. A few months ago, she'd announced she was pregnant. I was cautiously happy, but the timing felt strange given how distant she'd become. Now, I knew why. The dates lined up perfectly with one of her trips to Miami, so I played the role of the excited, doting husband, went with her to every doctor's appointment. I listened as she talked about baby names. The whole time, I felt nothing but ice in my veins. A few weeks after our son was born, I quietly arranged for a paternity test without her knowing. I used a stray hair from the baby's brush and one of my own. When the results came back, I felt no surprise, just a grim satisfaction. Probability of paternity, 0%. He wasn't my son. The day of the reckoning arrived. It was Sarah's 30th birthday. I had planned a huge party for her at a fancy restaurant in River North, inviting all our friends, her family, and even her boss and colleagues from the law firm where she was a partner. Mark was a senior partner at the same firm. I knew he'd be there. She was beaming all night, the center of attention, accepting gifts and compliments. She thought she had it all. At the peak of the evening, I stood up to make a toast. Everyone quieted down. I raised my glass. "To my beautiful wife, Sarah," I began, my voice steady. "She's a woman who always gets what she wants. She wanted a successful career, and she got it. She wanted a loving husband to support her, and she got that too. Most of all, she wanted a child." I paused, letting the silence hang in the air. "And she even managed to have a child with the man she truly loves. So, I'd like to make one final toast. To Sarah and Mark." I dropped a stack of photos from the pie onto the table. The entire room went silent as people saw the pictures of Sarah and Mark kissing, holding hands. Her parents stared in disbelief. Boss's face was stone. Sarah went pale, her smile frozen on her face. Mark looked like he'd seen a ghost, but I wasn't done. I pulled out a single sheet of paper. "This," I said, my voice cutting through the silence, "is a paternity test. It seems our beautiful baby boy isn't mine. Congratulations, Mark. You're a father." The chaos that erupted was exactly what I had imagined. Sarah's mother was crying. Her father was yelling. Her boss walked over, looked at the photos, then at Mark, and simply said, "You're both fired. Clean out your desks tomorrow." Sarah started screaming at me, calling me a monster. I just looked at her, completely empty, and said, "You did this." Then I turned and walked out of the restaurant, leaving her in the ruins of the life she had destroyed. The aftermath was swift and brutal. I filed for divorce the next day, presenting all the evidence. She got nothing. Her firm fired her for ethics violations. Her family disowned her, friends abandoned her, and Mark, his wife, divorced him, taking him for everything he had. About a week later, I got a call from an unknown number. It was Mark. He was sobbing, begging me to take the baby. Said he never wanted to be a father, that Sarah had trapped him. He said his life was ruined. I listened to him cry for a few minutes, feeling nothing. Then I said, "You made your bed. I'll lie in it," and I hung up. I moved out of Chicago and bought a small house by the lake in Michigan. It's quiet here. Spend my days fixing up the house and my evenings watching the water. The anger is gone now, replaced by a vast, cold emptiness. Sometimes I wonder what happened to them, but the thought passes quickly. They are just ghosts from another life. My life is my own now, and it's silent. It's been a year, and the only thing I kept from my old life was the small, empty frame that once held our wedding photo. The end.